on Survivor, I lost weight. I went down to like 90 pounds. On Beast Games, I definitely gained at least 5 pounds, maybe even more. We had the life of luxury. We had roof over our head, food 24/7.
Some people test their limits in everyday life, others take that challenge to the world stage. Today's guest is someone who stepped into not one, but two high intensity arenas that pushed both physical and mental endurance. Sue Smey is known to many as a competitor on Survivor, one of the most demanding reality competition shows ever created, where strategy, resilience, and mental toughness are tested. She also stepped into another intense competitive environment through Beast Games, a challenge-driven platform where determination and grit separate those who endure from those who fold under pressure. But beyond the challenges, the competitions, and the cameras, there is a deeper story. Sue is also a creator, model, and entrepreneur who has built a platform centered around confidence, strength, and personal growth. Her journey is a reminder that resilience isn't built in comfort, it is created through the moments that test you the most. Today, we are going beyond the competition to uncover the story, the struggles, and the mindset that shaped the woman you see today.
Oh,
Welcome to Become the Victor,
wow.
where welcome to Become the Victor, where we don't just talk about what someone went through, we talk about who they became because of it. Please welcome Sue Smey. And I apologize if I messed up on the
Oh, that's
introduction.
okay. Boy, that's a really wonderful introduction. I think we need to like market that. That's really beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah, I
that.
am so sorry. I woke up under the weather today, so I apologize,
No
but
worries. I
but
think it
it's
was perfect. And that's, you know what? Perfectly imperfect is what I'm all about. So it just shows we're human and we're just doing all we can. Thank you for having me here, Victor. I really appreciate this, and I'm thrilled to get to know more of your platform and what you do. And I feel like the message that you're putting out there is so huge and so needed in this world today. And I feel honored and blessed to be here with you.
I appreciate the honor is all mine. I really, really appreciate you. So for those who don't know too much about your story, what is your story?
So my story, it begins, like I grew up as probably many, we all have a story, right? We all have our story that broke us, that maybe damaged us. Usually I always feel it begins in our childhood. And even whether you're someone from poverty or someone from, wealth, there's something that always can shape who you are, damage who you are, change who you really want to be later on down the road. And I feel like my whole story, began in a very, we were not wealthy whatsoever. We were sort of living in, day by day with my parents. I came from a divorced, broken family. My environment was abusive and dysfunctional, and um, I find that I became at a very young age, I learned how to be a people pleaser. And I always put other people before me, because you want to be seen, you want to be heard. And if you're the good little girl, then, you get the pat on the head, and I feel that throughout my childhood and my upbringing, there was just so much, like there was not my father, but like there was alcoholism in our family and in, close-knit family, and tons of abuse. And I find that I needed to, when I finally went away to college, I realized that I needed to heal. I knew that I was broken. I knew that something was wrong with me. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel loved. And I just felt lost. And I always felt like there's got to be something more. And I just, I wanted to be somebody, just be somebody. And I never felt that I was somebody. I just felt like I was just floating around. And I think the only way that you can heal from any of your childhood traumas or whatever traumas you're experiencing is to really go back and experience them. And look back when you can step out of the box of who you are, look back into your childhood. I had to look back into my childhood, and I had to see all the different things of who treated me the way they treated me, how they treated me, and why they treated me that way. And I came to realize that, my parents were just a young group of kids that were married, that had kids young, and they didn't know any better. Just like now, like when I had my daughter 31 years ago, like parenting is new and relationships can be dysfunctional. And when you grow up in a dysfunctional home, you don't know how to actually be functional, right? So it takes a lot of practice. But I found that once I was able to dive deep into my childhood and into my traumas and understand that certain things that happened to me, they weren't my fault. They were the fault of the adults who were abusive to me, and that's their own, just like not knowing, not understanding, because they were just trying to survive themselves. Once I was able to heal from that, it's, I don't think healing, I don't even know if healing is the right word. I think that because I don't know how much you really heal, I think you're able to like almost put it behind you, but in a healthy way, because I always have those scars and I always will, but I never wanted those wounds to keep me down. I felt like at a very young age, I looked at life like I needed to experience this situation as a learning and a stepping step. And I feel like I used to always say to myself, like I can understand and relate to other people in similar situations because I went through it and I survived it and I did okay. And so I would say it took me 30 years to realize I didn't love myself. It took me about another 10 years to figure out how to love myself because it's easy to say, oh, I love myself, but it doesn't happen like that. You need to dig deep into figuring out how can I love myself? How can I feel worthy? And whether it's, I started waking up every day and reading positive affirmations. I started saying to myself, even when I was on Survivor, I remember repeating over and over and over, I'm worthy. I'm worthy. Because, like, I feel like you can self-sabotage yourself by thinking you're not worthy or thinking you don't deserve this or, you're nobody. So, I spent my life trying to, figure out how to put myself first. And that was a really hard thing to do because I spent my life putting myself at the lowest person on this pedestal. And when you do that, you don't have an identity. I remember one time my husband, who's now my ex-husband, he used to always say to me, let's order, something for dinner. And I'd say, okay. He'd say, what do you want? And I'd say, Chinese food. And he'd say, no, I want Italian. And this was years upon years upon years of me saying, okay, this is what I want. And him saying, no, I don't want to get that. Let's get this. And me saying, okay. And I remember one day saying, I'm going to put my foot down. I have to prove to myself that I'm worthy and my choices are worthy. I know it's something small, but it's really hard to do when you never did that. And I remember saying, I want Chinese food. And he said, no, I don't want that. And I'm like, well, I do. And I remember he like almost took a double take, like, like what? And I just said, yeah. So if you want to get Chinese something, why do you ask me if you don't really care and want to know? It was one of my first stepping stones to realizing that I needed to make decisions and choices. And it was really hard for me to do that. But once I started doing that and started realizing that I need to figure out things I want too, like at that point, I had no identity. So I didn't even know things I wanted. And I just threw out the Chinese food just to like stick to my gun because I felt like no matter what I would say, he would always say the opposite, and it was just like almost like a power control thing. So I started slowly taking my power back. Once I realized that I was starting to feel worthy and starting to want to find my own identity, that's when I just said, what do I want to do in my life as a career? I'd been a scrub tech for many years, which was a huge accomplishment, something that I really loved, but I had gotten divorced. I moved away from home. I moved away and I started fresh. So I gave up that whole medical industry. It was 13-hour shifts, very difficult. And then I remember thinking, I need to do something like something thrilling, exciting, because I am a thrill seeker. I like a challenge. And I ended up saying, I think I want to fly. And I literally wanted to fly helicopters.
Yeah.
So my goal was to be like a medevac helicopter. Like I could picture myself flying in on a, big, huge accident on, on a major highway and medevacing the people out and everything. I ended up taking a discovery flight. I got in the helicopter. I was too short and too small to touch the rudders or to even see over the dashboard. And I remember the guy saying, "Well, you know what? Maybe this isn't for you." And felt so defeated because I'm just like, but this was so exciting. And it was like a dream I wanted to do. It was a short, like it's not like I wanted to do forever, but it was like finally I found something that I wanted to do. And I was told no, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's when I finally said, you know what, I'll try airplanes, but it's not as exciting. And when I did my first discovery flight, that was it. I was sold. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And my goal was to just become a flight instructor, work part-time, but have it like a thrilling day and be able to help people become, pilots. And from that, it just snowballed into once I got my private pilot license, I was moving on to my instrument rating, which is really time consuming. It takes a lot of hours. And I was just like, I wonder if it'd be cheaper if I bought an airplane. And this way I'm not paying all that cost because flight, training is very expensive. I bought my airplane and my instructor was like, listen, if you want me to bring you some students, I can bring you some students and it'll maybe help pay for the, sorry, my part pay for the, I just want to turn my phone off.
No, it's okay.
And it would help pay for the and it would help pay for my flying.
Yeah.
So before I knew it, I had students. I ended up needing more airplanes, and it snowballed into this very successful flight school that I have. And it's just talk about accomplishments. It's something that for someone who didn't go out on the limb for so many years and was just a mom and a wife and then a divorced person trying to function and live on, after a divorce, it was trying to like just almost like a rebirth, and that's where I really got my strength to be able to just take the world by the balls and just go for everything. And from that point on, my life is just, you know, flushed, blown up into beautiful, beautiful experiences.
Wow. That is incredible. I didn't know
Yeah.
you had your pilot's license too. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
for someone like you said who you struggled with like self-love, acceptance, and kind of speaking your voice, what was like your pivotal moment to kind of help you develop that sense of courage to say no, like enough is enough. It ends here.
I, I took a big look at my life and I just felt like there's got to be something more than what I was doing. And I just felt like I've always said when I'm 80, I want to look back on my life and be able to say, you did everything that this earth off had to offer you. You faced all your fears. And even if you failed, the fact that you faced them, it makes you a winner. And like I remember thinking, I want that thrill. I want to like I even say to this day, I don't know how people can be 80 years old and have never traveled the whole world. Like for me, my goal is to just see every part of the earth in my lifetime because our lifetimes they go by fast and before you know it, you're too old to do anything. So I feel like I was looking at my life and I felt like I was wasting my life. I was functioning, I was, working a mundane job. I didn't feel fulfilled and I felt like there was a higher purpose for me. And
Yeah.
now I'm to the point where, I'm going to be 61 this year. I've done incredible like Survivor and then Beast Games and I feel like now when I see people my age, especially my age, but even younger, they are like, "Oh, well, when I was younger, I could do that, but I don't do it anymore." And that I want to kill them because I'm just like, you could do I want to be that person that shows you that you could do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. I'm a 61-year-old female who is just doing it all. And I'm hoping that I can prove this to people by my actions. It's not just my words, it's my actions.
Yeah. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Wow, that is incredible. When you talk about, like you being 61 and you doing all of these things, what is one thing that really kind of helps you develop that sense of resiliency? I mean, your story is, definitely helped you build up that endurance and your resilience. Like you said, you had wounds and scars and everything. What do you think is one thing that really, really makes you feel so strong at the age that you are now? Like you said, many people feel they slow down around this time, but you're like, no, I'm just kind of barely getting started.
Because I'm not looking at anything other than what can I do next. I'm not looking at my age. I'm not looking at my body. I'm not looking at anything that could possibly stop me. I'm looking at bring me on something new. I want a challenge. I want something new. I want something exciting
Yeah.
because I watched my dad die and I watched my dad had so much life in him. And now every time, he ended up dying a pretty difficult, death with cancer. And I think, like, for example, he always, when Survivor came out, we all watched Survivor together. And it was a family thing. We always used to joke and say, we should all just apply, go on as a family. Even my dad, when he was older, we were like, Dad, you'd be so good at this. And once he died, I'm like, he never got that opportunity. So I always look at back at once I'm dead, any opportunity I had is gone. And so I don't want to stop. I'm not going to stop until I'm 6 feet under. I don't want to stop.
Wow.
And I also feel like the healing is not that, like, when you can finally look at all the things that have damaged you, held you back, triggered you, caused depressions, caused anxiety. I feel like when you can finally be okay and put them on the back burner, not hide them and bury them and not deal with them. You need to deal with everything that's ever happened to you. But when you can take those and finally be okay with them and understand that whatever person, messed you up, they're the ones that are screwed up, not you. And what all these different things that have happened to you, it's all how you handle what the situation is. And again, sometimes it's you can't control everything, but it's if you can mentally and emotionally move forward from that and you don't think about it anymore, you'll let it go because the more you think about something, the more you keep it alive. If you can let it go, move forward and just say, what is my life today? And just focus on today. There's nothing, you can do anything. There's nothing that will stop you. And I feel like our thoughts and our emotions are what cripple us. And if we can control our thoughts and our emotions, I tell people that I'm a life coach. So I tell certain people that if you think a positive thought for 16 seconds, like, oh my God, the sun is out today, it's beautiful. The sun is out today, it's beautiful. After 16 seconds, you're gonna be like, and those trees are so pretty. And like before, like it snowballs. And before you know it, you're just all positive and happy and feeling good. If you think of something bad, like, oh, he didn't call me today, he didn't call me today, and then all of a sudden it snowballs into, well, why isn't he not calling me? Does he not like me? Whatever the situation is. So it's if you can flip that switch to like I step out of my body and I think of what I'm thinking and I think of my thoughts of what's going through my mind because those that person inside there is just another voice chirping, right? It's not, it's I mean, we all do it, right? We all have those thoughts. Even like today, I was late with you and you're probably like, well, I'm wondering what she's doing. I hope she's okay. But that's not you. That's just like a second voice inside your head. If you can shut that voice off and just be present in the moment, um, that's the other thing that I do that really helps me a lot is I live by the motto, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm here with you, Victor, right now. I'm not thinking about that I was, in the past, I was late, I was stuck in traffic, had so much anxiety because I don't like being late like, I'm not thinking about that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about, oh, what am I going to do once we're done talking? I'm going to go, because that gives you anxiety, right? So you think in the
Yeah.
past, it gives you depression, or you think of your childhood, or you think of all these bad things that, like, they're done and over with. It
Yeah.
causes depression. You start thinking about, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Blah, blah, blah. That's anxiety. I'm here with you, giving you 100% of me. And I know you're giving me 100% of you. My mind isn't wandering elsewhere. I'm 100% here. So excited to be here, be with you. And like, this is thrilling to me. And this is how I live my life every day. When I go play racquetball in the morning, I'm 100% there. I'm playing, having fun, and having a good time. Like, this is what life is supposed to be. It is what it can be if you flip that switch in your head to think positive and be happy, be grateful for everything that you've got going on.
Absolutely. It's also true, like you said, I never heard about the 16-second rule, but the one thing that really, really helped me is for every negative thought, think of three positives. And that is such a huge mental
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah. And it's so easy to manipulate your mind.
Yeah.
It's so easy to manipulate. Once you really want to do it, you'll do it.
Yeah.
It's some people, not that they want to stay victims, but some people sort of feed off from like having that bad thing that happened to them, or someone did something and hurt their feelings, and they keep talking about it and sharing it with other people. And like I always say, what someone does to me, that's on them, but how I respond is where I show my strength, because like someone's opinion of me, I can't care. And I learned a long time ago that like I should be the only person that cares of how I know the person I want to be, and I work very hard. Look, I'm not perfect, but I work very hard on being that positive person and uh, seeing people from a different. I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
it's
thought I
okay.
turned my phone off. I mean, okay, now it's off. I work very hard at stepping out of who I am and trying to be in the other person's body. Understanding what they're saying to me. And I've been very good, probably the last like 6, 7 years, at being able to hear things that I don't want to hear about myself,
Yeah.
because, we're all biased on, we're so caught up in our own emotions and our feelings of what we want to the point across, or what we want to say, or what we think is right, that we're not looking to see, like what we're looking like to other people. And I always used to say, I want to be the person that I would want to be friends with.
Hmm.
And right now, what I just did, is that someone that I would want to be friends with? Yes or no? So like I try very hard to self-assess all the time, because we are all human. Nobody's perfect. We all have our own emotions. We all have our own baggage. And there's a lot of different things that can trigger people, that can cause, it's more than negative. Like so many people can easily be caught up in that negative emotion that just sets you back. And it's very hard to get out of, but you can do it. And I'm living proof that you can, come out of this and with a better mindset, better life, and be happy.
Yeah. It's so, so true. And first and foremost, I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
Oh, thank you.
And, but it's so, so true. Like you said earlier, y- the way someone treats you is a testament to their character. And the way you treat others and them is a testament to yours. And it's so incredible how you shared your story and sharing what helped you along the way and everything. For those who are navigating their own journey and navigating their own trauma, what is something that really, really helps you to break out of those to break through those mental barriers? Because to go from feeling stuck, or our minds can play tricks on us, what really, really helps you break through those mental barriers? Like there's so much that go on behind the scenes.
Well, the one thing I want to say is that you said it correctly. The way someone treats you, it's on them, but it's also on you, because it's what you allow.
Yeah.
And you have to set a boundary. You have to be able to say, I'm worthy, I love myself, and you're not going to treat, I have a boundary of that's inappropriate. It's not allowed. Whenever you get any red flags, you take those red flags and you hold them in the air, and you're like, no, this is not acceptable into me. Don't speak to me that way. Don't treat me that way. Or you know what? Like I've I've learned to let go of a lot of people in my life. I would say I have probably two, maybe three really good friends.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm the healthiest, because so many people are so caught up in, oh, I gotta, get along with the Joneses, and I gotta get along with the Smiths, and I gotta be a part of this group. And if I'm let out, blah, blah, blah. Like I've learned that for me, what's healthiest for me is to almost be on my own, be who I am, and I'm the most successful and I move forward quickest when I don't have any other outside influences. For people who are stuck, I feel um, it's really important to figure out why you're stuck, what's happened to you, and um, like figure out how to fix get unstuck. I feel it's important to maybe start journaling like in the like I advise a lot of people to journal in the morning. Like I used to always write down my thoughts, my dreams, any like my night dreams that I had at night, because I feel like if I can remember them, a lot of them are correlating to deep down emotions or subconscious thoughts in my head, or whatever it is. But I feel like journaling is a big help, and if you can write out your emotions. One other really good thing that really helped me is I had a very difficult relationship with my father, who in the end I ended up, we get along good, got along good and everything, but like my childhood was very difficult, and he destroyed me. And it was a tough childhood where, I just like left the whole area because I couldn't deal with it anymore. But I remember in college that this is when like getting away from home was the best thing. But then I started journaling, and then one day I decided I'm going to write him a letter. And in my brain, I was just like, I'm going to write him a letter. And I don't have to give it to him, but with the intention of giving it to him. And I remember writing and writing. And before I was outside on a rock, and I was writing this long letter, just, you did this to me, blah, blah, blah. Whatever my emotions were, I remember there were times that like the tears were pouring off my face onto the notebook. And I just kept writing faster and faster and harder and harder. And I remember even screaming, just like, ah, like I was just like, I fucking hate you, type things, whatever I had to do to release it all.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the healthiest things I ever did. I never gave him the letter, obviously, but sometimes you need to release because the pain, like it's hard, especially if you've been damaged by your loved ones. And for me, I had a lot of betrayal by my loved ones. Um, you have to release it. You have to face it, relive it again, understand it. Again, understanding the person that did this to you, understanding like I looked back into my father's his childhood and how his family treated him, and there was abuse there too. So like there's comes a point where you don't know, like you can either acknowledge the fact that this is dysfunctional, this is not healthy, and it doesn't feel good, and you can try to change the cycle. Or you can stay the way you are the whole time, never realizing that there could be a better life, a better way, something more peaceful and happy. And, like my father, unfortunately, never learned that. Um, but I know that me and my sisters have all worked very hard on ourselves. And there were times that, we've had to take breaks from each other and love each other from a distance because we triggered each other because of our dysfunction as children, and the life we live. So I think the most important thing is always first trying to figure out who am I, and what is it that I want out of this lifetime. Like if you're 50, like I always use the word 80. So right now, just so you know, I have 19 more Christmases, and when you look at it that way, so 19 more Christmases to decorate my house and my Christmas tree and buy presents for my daughter and my grandson and celebrate Christmas. And, 19 more falls. It's my favorite season, like watching the trees change out here in New York, and just like I'm at my best in the fall. And when you look at it that way, 19 more times, it's not a lot.
Yeah. It
So
puts
what am I
everything
doing?
in perspective.
Doesn't it? It
Yeah.
really does. And if you think of it that way, then you're just like, starting to say, okay, well, if I got 19 more, like this year, I took I undecorated my house March 2nd. That's how much I love Christmas. But again, I'm like, okay, well, now I have 19 more times to cherish this special holiday that I love. And so, and that's what I see, like even with like my mom, she's 83, and I'm like, okay, if I see her once a year and she dies next year, that's 12 more times I got to see her. So like I try to put in that this life is so precious and it can be taken away from us at the drop of a dime. So why am I wasting my time being angry, being sad, being angry at something that happened 30 years ago, or even if it was 10 years ago? Like, am I going to let that dictate my day today because somebody screwed me over or burnt me or betrayed me so many years ago? No, like I'm fine. And like I there are no they lost and I always say to myself, it's an honor to be in my life. And so you blew it, so now you're gone, type thing.
Yeah.
And it's just figuring out who you are, who you want to be, and how you want to love yourself, and then setting those boundaries that nobody's allowed to treat you any way other than what you want them to treat you. And I think that's a big step. I think our loved ones and our lovers are the most influential and they're the ones that can dictate your day, right? Like you can have a fight with your spouse and you can have a horrible day for like 2 days, and that's so like you have to say, is this worth it? Is this something that like I want to ruin my day over? No.
Yeah. Do you believe, reflecting off of your past, do you believe that everything you have experienced, it shaped you into the woman that you are today? But do you believe that your strength comes from your past, or does your strength come from because of what you learned from it?
I thank every day that every abusive thing that happened to me, I'm grateful because it taught me that I could be stronger than that. It showed me a different way of life, and it showed me that I was strong enough to not let any of them break me. And I hold on to a lot of those memories because it empowers me to say I'm not a victim because I will never ever feel like I'm a victim, but I'm someone that got so many different types of experiences that I feel I'm the strong one that can help others because I've experienced it. And I feel like if you've experienced something like that, can people help you? Like I used to think, oh, these people go to shrinks, but like how can they really know truly how it feels to have an alcoholic uncle that's abusive? Like unless they had that, because they can say, the textbook tells me yes, this, and this, but unless they really experience it, like I don't think they truly get it. And that's why I feel like I was put on this earth to experience all these things and they didn't break me. They made me stronger. But now I like thrive off those because now I can actually be like empathic or like show so much empathy towards and people that are telling me their stories. I get it and I can relate so much better. And I feel like that's a healing, being able to help others heal because I'm not fake it. I'm not faking it. Like I get it. And I think that so my strength, I'm grateful for all of the bad things that happened in my life. I definitely, because that's what shaped me to who I am. But now because of my strength, like now I feel empowered. And so I love everything that's gone on in my life. And now my message is definitely to help people to look at life as a passion and as something fun and find your niche and just go with it. And who cares what all the peer pressure. When I started my flight school, do you want to know how many people just like doubted me and they're like, "You were you crazy?" I was in my 50s, you right? So I'm in my 50s and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fly planes." And they made fun of me. One of my friends was just like, "Oh, she's just gonna go fly a big airplane." And like it was really hard. I battled against a lot of adversity, adversary, but like it was so worth it. And I like freaking blew them out of the water. You know what I mean? Like it almost gave me the thing to prove to them, look, I'm smart enough and I'm capable enough to do this. And not only did I become a pilot, but I started my own flight school. So
Wow.
like it just inspired me to be better.
That is so, like, your story is incredible. Like I told you when I reached out to you, you have, I think, a phenomenal story, and I think it's very, very empowering for other people, especially the youth and other women and anyone, to really
Thank you.
hear your story. It's truly incredible. I didn't know about the flight school. That's a really, really cool.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff. So and like there's nothing better than people saying, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a pilot," or I own a flight school, and you're just like, talk about like boosting your ego and
Yeah.
feeling good, right? Like you're talking about how do you find out how to love, how do you love yourself? Yeah, I'm proud. It was hard work and it was something, it was a very lonely, lonely thing for me because I went to a flight school and the other students that were there, they were young 20-year-old boys. So I'm this old lady coming in, going in. I never really spoke to them because we had nothing in common and everybody was just passing as we'd go for our lessons. So it
Yeah.
was very lonely and very difficult. So when I did my flight school, I wanted us to have a community and I wanted the students to know each other and know that they could talk. We would have group classes and it was just discussions because I wanted them to be able to ask the hard questions and have other people learn from the questions too. So everything that I've done, like I feel like I take and I try to sh do it better from my end.
Yeah.
Like I go to flight school, now I own my own flight school and I'm doing better. I want to be the flight school that I wish I went to. And that's what I do with everything in life.
Wow. That is so, so incredible. When you got it, I'm really, really fascinated now to get into like Survivor and Beast games. What made you want to do Survivor? Like, did you come across a casting? Like, what made you think about, you know what, I want to try to do this.
So when Survivor first came out, my daughter was 7 years old. 7 or 8, I'm not sure. And again, like I told you, like this, we didn't have a lot of channels back then. So Survivor was the show to watch, and everybody in the world watched Survivor. We always were. I'm very athletic. I've always been daring. My family's daring. So we were all, my sisters, my father, my cousins, everybody were just like, oh, one day we should all get on Survivor. And I remember I was at the point where I actually even had my daughter like film me doing something but I never sent it in. Long story short, my daughter ended up getting diagnosed with juvenile diabetes and my world stopped. So like it went from, just normal every day to trying to keep my daughter alive, basically. Because if, like you don't do her insulin properly, she's dying. So, like, I sort of forgot about Survivor and, I watched it here and there, but I stopped watching it. And, life happens. You just keep moving on. And then, um, in 2000, I don't remember how long ago, my daughter, we started watching Survivor again. So she was watching from home, I'm watching from home. And she was just like, Mom, Mom, I remember when you always wanted to do that, and maybe you should apply. And in my brain, I'm like, is she cuckoo? Like, no way. But then I was just like, you know what? This is my time to show her that if there's something you want to do, you just got to go for it. Step out of that comfort zone, especially because she walks around with tubes sticking out of her body. She's very insecure, like her life has been tough, with this juvenile diabetes and the pumps and the sensors and everything sticking out of her. So I wanted to show her that, you know what? I'm just going to try. So I said, you know what? I'll do it. So she helped me make my video and I sent it in and they called me right then and there and we started the casting process and that was it. But I remember thinking, I didn't know if they would want me, but I remember thinking I did my end. So now it's up to the universe. If they like me, they'll call me. If they don't like me, at least I tried and I showed her that I had the balls to try. Because I
Yeah.
want her to have the balls to try things for her too. Whether she does or not, I don't know if she will, but like I'm trying to be again that person I'm showing by my actions.
Yeah.
So, and that was it. I think I was the perfect token old lady. I was a pilot, flight school owner, and it fell into place nicely. So it worked out really well.
That is so, so cool. When you first got into Survivor and you got accepted and you were like there, what was that moment like for you? Because that's a really, really big thing, especially if you're a fan of the show.
Yeah, it was so surreal. I remember, like we went to Ponderosa first, and obviously I was the oldest person there. And, so again, your insecurities creep in because you're just like, okay, here, I'm the old person, but I trained and I was just like, I knew I was fit. I felt really strong. And, everyone, we're not allowed to speak when you're around Ponderosa. So you sort of smile a little bit and you sort of make little connections. But once we got to the island and they pull us in with the boat and you get out and you see. hundreds of cameras and they're on cranes and they're just surrounding you. And Jeff is there saying, welcome, like, come on in or whatever it was. And I remember being like, don't ask me a question. Don't ask me a question because I was so nervous. I was just like, I never expected it to be the way it was. And then to have, Jeff just start picking you in the black, what's your name, type thing. And I'm like, please don't ask me a question. I was terrified. And then,
Yeah.
we started our first challenge right then and there, 15 minutes later. So, and we just went full force. So the game began and that was it, like it was really incredible. And at the time, even now, like I just prayed for my dad to be with me and to help me and to give me the strength that I needed. And, it's like a weird thing because you can say I've had an abusive childhood and so much pain and, you know, damage done, but in the same breath, you still love them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing. And in the end, like we did have a good relationship because I was trying to be as much of a caregiver as I could while he was suffering. So like, in the end, I did really love him and, it was sad, for him to pass, but I felt he was with me the whole time. And I felt like him being in the place he's at now, he was there with me and it was the good person, the good father,
Yeah.
But Survivor was incredible. What one of the best experiences, hardest experiences too, that I'll ever. I can't imagine anything harder.
Yeah. To touch on your dad one more time, because that was pretty powerful what you just shared right now. What is a piece of advice you would give when it comes to forgiveness? Because you talk about, the story of your dad, how he had on you during your childhood, and then all the way up to his passing when you were his caregiver. How has forgiveness helped you?
Here's the hard thing is my dad never felt he did anything wrong. So it's really hard to say, I forgive you when they think they're perfect and they're not going to hear it. Like, so I used to always try to like sort of tell him how I was feeling or say this bothered me. And he would just explode. And I was not allowed to ever really express how I felt my pain that I really had. And this is going to sound weird, but we finally, probably the last 10 years of his life, we became friends again. But he never really knew the damage he caused. Because he just thought he was like a narcissist and just thought he was a great person and everybody should love him no matter what. Um, but on his deathbed, he had done something right before the day before he passed, he had done something that was me and my sister were with him. He had done something that was a blast from the past that just opened up, the floodgates. And he ended up being in a coma the next day and, non-responsive or anything. And we were just sitting there sort of waiting for him to die. And I was getting ready, I had to leave. And something inside me, I knew this was the last time I'd ever see him again, and something inside me just let loose. And my goodbyes to my dad were, fuck you, you motherfucker. How could you fucking do this? What you did to my life, I'm gonna cry. Like you fucked me my whole life and you screwed up my whole life. And how I don't even remember everything I said. I just like mouth vomit. And so my last words as I was walking out the door were fuck you. Um, it was the best thing I ever did in my life. It was so healing because it was the first time in my life that I could say exactly like what I was feeling because I was just saying, why would you do this? And how could we were your daughters? How could you let this happen to us? How could you do this to us? But I was screaming and crying, and my sister just sat there like, like she didn't know what to do, but she also understood and agreed with me. But and that was 50 something years of pent up pain and anger, and I released it all. And after that, I just felt so at peace. And, like whether he heard me or not, I guess it doesn't matter. It was how it affected me and how it helped me. And that was probably, it's not that you don't give forgiveness, or it's not about forgiveness. It's about understanding. And then it's about being at peace with how you're feeling. And, and that's really where it's at. Like, I don't know, not that you have to forgive people for yourself. It's coming to terms with whatever it is that happened and knowing that they didn't break you. So whether you call that forgiving someone or you call it just stepping away from that person and finding your own peace, it's however you want to label it, but it's so important to let it go and not hold on to it. And, again, like I was good with him the last 10 years of his life, but when it was finally that my last moments with him, something inside me needed to release it all. And I have been in so much better with him, like in my heart, where I used to always have pain, and I don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sorry for getting you a little emotional
Oh,
today.
that's I love look,
Yeah.
my favorite thing about myself is my emotions. And I always tell, like here's the difference. So me and my sister, so when I told you we somewhat lived in poverty a little bit. And there was a point where my mom as a single mom moved me and my sisters, and we lived in a trailer park for probably about a year. Um my sister we were both in probably 10th, 11th grade, maybe ninth, 10th grade, whatever it was. Um, and I remember my sister was humiliated, and um, I was just like happy that we had a place to live. And years later, me and my sister met up, and we went to a place, and we're like, let's just have a drink. We're going to spend the weekend together. And I was talking to her, and she was saying, what is it that you like about yourself, and blah blah blah. And I said, one of my favorite things about myself is my emotions. I love that I can cry. I love that I can like express how I feel. And I said, even living in that trailer park, I feel having that experience and maybe the humiliation a little bit, but it makes me feel for other people that live in trailer parks or even less than trailer parks because they financially don't have it. And now I know what that feels like. So for me, I love that I got that opportunity to live that lifestyle for a while and know what it's like. And I'll never look down on anybody ever, that like however you live. But
Yeah.
even when you're at that low and you sort of have that stigma away when like if you say I live in a trailer park, there's something about that people look at it differently. I know what it feels like, and I'll never look down at it. And my sister was like, "Are you kidding me? I hate that. I hate that we live like that. That was the worst thing ever." And blah 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 blah. And I was just like, it's amazing that the two of us took away two totally different things. She hated it, regretted it. She's so angry that we had to live like that. And to me, I'm like, thank God we did, because now I will never. I know what it feels like to be in that type lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I forgot what the question was.
No, yeah, it's perfect. No, it's incredible, like I talk about your story and everything and how open you are and vulnerable you are. And it's just incredible because I want people to know, like, no matter where you come from, you can always come out of it and do these big things, extraordinary things,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
And you could do more than me. I started late. Don't start late. Like get your shit together now. Figure it out. And like don't start when you're 50. Because man, if I had started when I was 30, I can't even imagine where I'd be right now.
Yeah,
But like I feel like it was my time. I needed to live the experiences that I lived and do what I did. And now it was the perfect time for me. But
yeah,
for everyone else, start now because there's just so much out there for you. And not just reality TV shows but different careers, different lives, travel the world, do whatever it is that makes you want to thrive and live and just understand that 80 years on this earth is going to go by real fast. So do you want to just sit there and watch TV, sit on your couch the rest of your life, or do you want to friggin' have an adventure of a lifetime? And that's what I recommend.
I love it.
Like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop feeling like stop bringing up the past. Stop,
Yeah,
dwelling in everything. Get the frig over it and just focus on you. Because right now, if you're, feeling like you're a victim, you're giving that energy to that person or to that situation, and you're never going to move forward when you're feeling sorry for yourself. Because you know what? Nobody else feels, even though people may feel sorry for you, they're like, oh, I feel so bad for you, but like they've moved on. They're living their life and doing whatever they want to do. So you have the option to sit here and just wallow in whatever mess up thing that's happened to you. And again, I give myself, when something happens, I do give myself 24 hours to feel sorry for myself and to be a victim. After the 24 hours, it's done. I do not give myself permission to go any further than that. And
yeah,
so that's a good rule that I've lived with for a while, and it helps because we all are going to have things that happen that can be upsetting or, rock your world for a little while, but you cannot dwell in that. You have to let things go and just understand that we are all human beings just trying to survive. And if someone burns you or hurts you, like that's just who they are. And maybe they're not even, their intentions weren't to do that, but you're sensitive or whatever the situation is.
yeah,
But like, you gotta get your shit together, do it now while you're young, and just love life, love life.
yeah. What I know we talked about your dad. What has the impact of your mom been in your life?
So they both cheated. When I was little. Um, I think as a little girl, like I wanted my dad's attention and I didn't get it. And I resented my mom. Like when my dad would come over, they would end up fighting, he'd leave, and I was sort of resented my mom because she was home and the fight with him made him leave. And, like every little girl wants to be daddy's little girl. And um, my mom again, I'm chalking it up to her being young, but it's not that it's like age young, it's the mental young that I think she was still so self-absorbed in her own life and her own world that us girls were sort of put on the back burner, and she was absent a lot. She was never emotionally capable of seeing the world through our eyes. It was more like, I'm the mom, I'm doing the best I can. And like she was only around when, like I got in trouble because I was sort of like a troublemaker. But like her, I love her to death. But she's the type that I can call her and tell her something. And she'll be like, oh, that's so bad. And well, when I went to church today, like you don't feel validated and you don't feel like your mom's really into anything. So like I don't really tell her much. So there's like a little bit of a distance, even though I call her every day. I love her to death. And but like she's sort of lost in her own little world. And I think that's still the same mental age from when all this stuff happened when I was little, that she still just moved that along with that.
Yeah.
So
How,
it's she doesn't have a relationship with one of my sisters at all. Like they see each other once in a while, but like you know it's been a strained, she's just been in her own world,
yeah,
unfortunately. But again, I'm not a victim. I chalk it up to her childhood was so messed up that this is her defense mechanism, and it's just who she was to survive and to just make it through the world. And so she just carried that along with her her whole lifetime. And we were just products of sex.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
but again, I've made taken that and chose to not be my mom and not be my dad and do everything I can to be the best mom and the best grandma I can possibly be for my daughter and my grandson. And that's where, my mom didn't break me, my dad didn't, well, they broke me a little, but like they didn't kill me. And like, but now it makes me a stronger person to show this is what a mom is supposed to be like. And even now, I might not be so perfect, but like I'm doing, I feel like me and my daughter have a really good relationship. We speak 20 times a day, and like it's a good relationship in my book. So
that's
there's a big
awesome.
difference. Yeah.
How do you enjoy, how was that transition into motherhood?
Uh, it's sucked because like I never was a kid person, so that was so I mean, I love my daughter more than life, and I would give my life for her. I hated being pregnant. I'm so total opposite of all the other women that are like, "Oh, I love being pregnant." I hated being pregnant. I hated every bit of it. Having her was very difficult because I had an absent husband who didn't want to be bothered. So like I didn't, and again, being the people pleaser, I didn't want to ask him for help, even though I was tired, I was exhausted, and but like I was afraid to ask him for help because I didn't want him to not like our daughter. So it was really difficult. It was really because I just was someone who I didn't have any family around. I moved away from Binghamton, so like it was just us on our own, and it was very hard the first few years. Once she started sleeping at nights and everything, it got better. But the first couple years was really tough. And I felt again very alone, very alone.
What, we're getting to the end of the episode here. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How
Doing
about you?
good?
You feeling okay? I
Doing,
hope
doing
you're
great.
enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a great episode. Thank you so
Okay,
much
good.
again for being here.
Yeah, of
For
course.
I want to touch on a little bit on Beast Games. How was it, to go on Survivor and to compete at that high intensity of a show to now going on Beast Games? How was that moment in comparison to Survivor?
Oh, nothing. It didn't compare to Survivor. Nothing. Like the difference, like I gained weight. Like on Survivor, I lost weight. I went down to like 90 pounds. On Beast Games, I definitely gained at least 5 pounds, maybe even more. We had the life of luxury. We had roof over our head, food 24/7, everything easy, easy, easy. And, I ended up making incredible friends. And it's funny because like again, I don't look at myself in my 60s. So like when I meet people, I just like either I become friends with them or I don't. But like I don't look at, oh, are they gonna look at me and be like, oh, this is the old lady? Like maybe they do, but I don't look at it that way, and I ended up making incredible friends. That was the difference. This wasn't so cutthroat the way Survivor is. Survivor, you went out there, I knew that I'm the old person here. I'm probably going to be the first person they're going to want to vote out because of my age. And, I was fighting 24/7 for my spot on Survivor. Beast Games was fun and exciting and silly. And, when you competed, it was intense, but it just was all amazing. It was just really, really incredible. And again, I got the phone call from my daughter saying, Mom, I applied for you to be on this show. It's called Beast Games. It's Aiden's favorite show, my grandson. I'm like, okay, and so like again, she applied, but then it's my email, so now I have to do the video for it. But like I got a
Yeah,
call like 2 days later saying
yeah,
we want you on. So and it worked out perfect because of this Survivor crossover. But everything I do for my daughter just to show her that like just go for it. Like who would have thought, right?
yeah.
So, and we'll see, she has other ideas, has had the other ideas this summer for me to apply shows. So we'll see if her manifestation works.
That is so, so cool. You and
Yeah.
your daughter sound really close.
We are. And she's like my manager. Like I don't even look on Instagram. So she'll be like, okay, you got a message. Look now. And I say to her, where do I go? And she says, go to that thing on the bottom. And then I open up and then I'll answer. It's like certain people I answer, like you.
Yeah,
And then she answers a lot of people. It's just so many people DMing. So it's fun for her. And it's really built our relationship even better because like we're like partners now. Even I'll say, how's our Instagram doing? Like everything is ours, and it's sort of fun for me to like, have it be something between her and I.
absolutely. What is one thing you would hope your daughter remembers or your kids remember of you the most?
That I 100% lived my life to the fullest that I possibly could. And even though I know it's not done, it'll never be done, that I just was just like, let's just go and like live life. And I think, I'm hoping that she'll become a part like that too. And it may not happen until after I die. I don't know. But like I want her to realize that there's more than just right now Aiden's young, so she's, still being the mom, which is what she should be doing. But I'm hoping that when she gets the time to like fulfill her dreams, that she'll do it and that she'll just keep getting more and more dreams and just living and being as happy like I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Now,
happy. I'm happy. And you know what? That little girl years ago just wanted to be somebody. I feel like I'm somebody.
yeah.
And I'm
You,
hoping that she'll feel like somebody one day.
you've always been somebody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, make me cry.
Oh.
Thank you. But you know what? You can say that, but when you don't feel it,
Yeah.
you don't feel it.
Yeah.
And now I feel it.
Sometimes it just takes a while to develop that self-awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to feel it like we all are somebody, but do we all think we're worthy of being somebody? And it took me 30 years to realize that I didn't think I was somebody.
Yeah. What is one question we're getting to? This is the last question before we get into the rapid fire questions. What is one question you wish more people asked you, but they don't?
That's a good question. Um, what can be my first steps to live my life the way I want to live my life?
I like that. What does that
It's
mean
not
to
about
you?
me. It's about it's just really doing some soul searching. And when I was at the point where like I didn't know who I was,
Yeah.
I remember sitting down saying, What did I do what did I want to do when I was little?" And when I was little, I would play out in the woods all day. I would like play in the dirt and I would just go searching for Indians and look for ghosts and like have fake playhouses and think that I saw teepees, like because I lived in the woods. And like so I realized that I have such an imagination of fun, exciting, thrilling adventures. And that's when I realized that like I need to be outdoors more. I need to, because that's my like when you're children, I think that shows you who you really are before the world comes in and tells you who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I think you need to go back to that little boy or little girl that you were and remember who they were. And that's where you begin.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Now the rapid fire questions. Are you ready? Um,
Okay, I get a little nervous with these because I always regret my answers that rapid fire, and then I'm just like, oh, now I should have said this, this, and this. But go ahead, hit me.
no, that's perfect. Okay. So there's going to be 7 questions. Survivor or Beast Games, which one tested your mental toughness the most?
Survivor.
If you had to pick one skill that helped you most in competition, would it be strategy, endurance, or mindset?
Strategy.
What
Sorry, I'm
is,
not so rapid, but I needed to process those.
no, it's okay. What is one thing about competing on shows that people watching at home would never expect?
That it's all real. Like survive all of so far the two shows I've been on, there's nothing scripted, there's nothing fake. This is real, real, real world.
If you had to do one challenge again from Survivor or Beast Games, which one would you choose?
I would want to go back to the Beast Games one, the obstacle course where I didn't get to do it because they just had one captain because I wanted to do that challenge so bad. That looked so fun.
What was the first thing you wanted to eat after finishing a competition?
Like when I was done with Survivor, you mean like the whole show?
Yes,
Pizza, meatballs, a banana boat, and chicken wings.
I love it. And we kind of touched on this, but it's a little bit of a different question. As a mom, what is the one thing you hope your kids always remember you taught them?
Again, that live life when you're 80, you can look back and say, I have no regrets. I did everything that I wanted to do. Because you always hear people saying, like the only thing you regret is not doing something.
Yeah.
So do everything.
The final one. If life itself were a competition show, what would your winning strategy be?
Winning strategy to empower other people to be the best that they could possibly be and show them that and let them know that they can do it.
That's a great, great answer.
Thank
Now,
you.
Now, Sue, it's been great having you. Please let everyone and anything you want to share, where they can find you, anything you're working on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be my Instagram is S Sue Smey S47. So that's Sue Smey Survivor 47. I was talking to you earlier about the IMDb Sue Smey account, and it's on the Amazon Prime, but like I'm trying to get more people involved in that, maybe liking me or making comments. I don't really know exactly what it is we were talking about, but I'm trying to get that going. I'm big advocate for breakthrough TD1, which is juvenile diabetes for my daughter. My little sister has breast cancer, so I'm breast cancer awareness, and I'm also big time working into moving forward into helping people with Parkinson's. There's something they have something called Rocksteady Boxing that I'm already have like assistance, certification into help, but I want to get into more, maybe eventually down the road, opening my own gym for people with Parkinson's to help people with Parkinson's. And you'll be able to see me next on the runway in Miami Runway Fashion Week. I'm a brand ambassador for Smart Swimsuits, so that's going to be fun. And I'm hopefully going to be going to Italy too, but we'll see.
That is so, so cool.
And
And
stay tuned. Hopefully, I'm going to get on another show this summer, but we will see.
that is so, so cool. And all of her links will also be within the description as well. For the audience at home, please let me know and comment down below, where did you feel less alone within today's episode? This has Become the Victor, where we turn trials into triumph. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. And again, we have Sue Smey joining us within today's episode. Take
Thank
care.
you, Victor.